Cali to Chi-Town, it's Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes.
A big update has arrived on Ryan Poles' job security with the Chicago Bears. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, make sure you also do me a huge favor by also hitting the like button on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. Before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, BetUS. As always, Bears fans, make sure you guys head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000, and also get 125% second and third deposits as well. If any of you guys still have hope in the Chicago Bears making a huge comeback after a 4-game losing streak. Once again, they play the Minnesota Vikings at home at Soldier Field. You guys can go place your bet on the Chicago Bears all season long by using promo code YouTube150. All right, Bears fans. So we have a pretty big update coming out of Chicago, and it's in regards to Ryan Poles' job security with the Chicago Bears. I think almost every Bears fan and anyone looking inside the organization agrees that Matt Eberflus will be fired as the Chicago Bears head coach at the end of this season. He has one of the worst winning percentages in franchise history. He has now lost 6 games in which the Chicago Bears had a win probability of above 80%. Not good. He has lost 4 or 5 games in which his team had a chance to win on the game's final play. He has had 8 assistant coaches who have resigned or been fired under his watch. Obviously, players have dropped really strong hints on him losing the locker room. And he's obviously on a 4-game losing streak after starting the season at 4-2. But now a lot of people are kind of shifting the conversation from Matt Eberflus to Ryan Poles and basically seeing if they should be a package deal. When you look at GM Ryan Poles, I mean, it's kind of like an intriguing conversation because he had the direct hand and, not only hiring Matt Eberflus as the head coach of the Chicago Bears, he doubled down when he kept Matt Eberflus after last season's, really directing him and tying him with Matt Eberflus for the long-term future. You can also look at the big misfires with Chase Claypool and Nate Davis, which hampered the progress on the offensive side of the football. His inability to improve the offensive line, to really have a respectful offensive line in the National Football League. That's also Ryan Poles' fault as well. So basically the big question is, would the Chicago Bears, meaning Kevin Warren and the McCaskey family, the Chicago Bears organization, would they consider a clean sweep at the top by firing both Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles? But according to Jeff Hughes of the DaBearsBlog, he says that's unlikely, and the belief is Poles will be retained and have a chance to hire another coach. This is what he had to say, Bears fans. Poles will likely retain this job moving forward, getting the opportunity to hire a second head coach. Poles must immediately get 2 things right. He has to find the right head coach to pair with this young quarterback, and 2, he has to completely rebuild the offensive line as a unit. Not one player on that line currently should have a guaranteed job in 2025. So there may be a lot of people out there, meaning Bears fans, that may disagree that the Chicago Bears should actually fire Ryan Poles as well, just from the fact of him keeping head coach Matt Eberflus alone, and then obviously his inability to build a good offensive line. But I think Ryan Poles has done just enough to justify another shot being the Chicago Bears GM for at least one more season. Once again, yes, he hired Matt Eberflus and then doubled down by actually keeping Matt Eberflus at the end of last season. Obviously, the Chase Claypool, Nate Davis moves were also bad. But that said, Ryan Poles has also built a pretty good roster overall. You can look at guys like DJ Moore, Montez Sweat, TJ Edwards. Those guys are established studs. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Javon Dexter, Donald Wright, Tyreek Stevenson, and Roma Dunze, and especially also Caleb Williams as well, are all keepers and guys that can really help build this roster to hopefully future contenders in the National Football League. And all that being said, I think that's why Ryan Poles deserves one more chance. So like it or not, the organization wouldn't be where it's at without Ryan Poles, even though he has made some huge mistakes by not building the offensive line and hiring and keeping head coach Matt Eberflus. I think he deserves one more opportunity to, really find the right guy. And I know there's going to be a lot of people on today's video saying that they disagree with that. They feel like since he kept Matt Eberflus and he cannot build the offensive line, he should be gone. But when you look at the state of the Chicago Bears, they once again have a lot of resources to really revamp this offensive line. I know Jeff Hughes of DaBearsBlog was saying that no one should be safe on this offensive line. I beg to differ. I think Darnell Wright is probably the only one that will be safe on this offensive line come next season for the Chicago Bears. Once again, Ryan Poles and the Bears organization has a lot of resources to overhaul this offensive line. They have over $70 million in cap space. They have 3 picks in the top 100 as well. So once again, Ryan Poles should have no problem building an offensive line. But again, he has struggled over the last couple of years building a good offensive line. To me, it's very simple. With $70 million in cap space and 3 picks in the top 100 in next year's NFL draft, you should be able to land a quality offensive lineman or 2, not only in free agency, but also draft some really good offensive linemen in the NFL draft to really overhaul this offensive line. That's step 1. But then the extra challenge is finding a good head coach that complements your young quarterback in Caleb Williams. We talked about some options like Ben Johnson, maybe Thomas Brown will get a shot to be the Bears head coach if things continue to look good between him and Caleb Williams. Obviously there's rumors about maybe the San Francisco 49ers or fans wanting Kyle Shanahan to be fired. If he becomes available, that could be a decent option for the Chicago Bears. But to me, there's really no excuse for Ryan Poles not to get it right, not only with the head coach, but to not be able to, really overhaul this offensive line this offseason for the Chicago Bears. So yes, he will get another opportunity to hire a second coach if he does, in fact, fire Matt Eberflus. If he goes to the McCaskey family or Kevin Warren and says, hey, you know what, I feel like we should keep Matt Eberflus for these reasons. I think Kevin Warren and the McCaskey family and the Bears organization should then be like, oh, well, okay, if you really want to keep Matt Eberflus, then you can pack your bags and go with them. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think at this point, I think Ryan Poles is going to let Matt Eberflus finish the season, sees what happened. He will then fire Matt Eberflus and begin to look for his next head coach, which once again, he has a lot of solid options moving forward. But overall, Bears fans, this is definitely something that's going to have to be monitored over the last couple of weeks of the season. At this point, the Chicago Bears playoff hopes are very slim. They still have some very tough matchups against like the Detroit Lions, the 49ers, the Minnesota Vikings, the Seattle Seahawks to finish off the season, along with the Green Bay Packers at the end of the year as well. But it's going to be really intriguing as we get closer to the offseason to see if this narrative shifts, if the Chicago Bears will in fact keep Ryan Poles, or if they're going to, fire both Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles and start all over. But I think what's best for the organization, especially with the resources that we have and what he has already done with the roster, to just keep Ryan Poles and give him one more opportunity, not only to hire the right head coach, but to really build this offensive line. But at the end of the day, we'll have to see and wait what happens when it gets close to the offseason for the Chicago Bears. So Bears fans, before I let you guys go, let me ask you guys this. Do you think Ryan Poles deserves one more chance to get the head coaching hire right and rebuild this offensive line? Let me know your opinion down below in the comment section. But as always, make sure you continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. And make sure you share this episode with Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. And once again, make sure you guys head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000 and get 125% second and third deposits as well. Other than that, I'll be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys. And as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right.